Shalom. This is Hadassah Bat Saiwan, returning with the book of Revelation, chapter 8. And what we're going to look at is the rise of the two beasts. Now, if you're following along study by study, and if you've looked at the studies called The Beast of the Book of Revelation, the last 7 years of the end times, and also the latest one called The Anti-Messiah. All of these studies will help you to put in perspective the correct chronological order of the book of Revelation. So now we know that the southern kingdom is gone, the northern kingdom is awakened, and the rise of the two beasts, the beast empire and the beast king, will be taking place. So this is where we are going to pick up from. So we're going to read the rearranged chapter 8. And in fact, the arrangement is that it was brought up from chapter 13 to chapter 8. That's the only rearrangement that was done. Okay? So it's the same chapter 13, but instead of chapter 13 in the book of Revelation, it is now chapter 8. So let's read it. And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. And they worshipped the dragon which gave power unto the beast. And they worshipped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against Allahayam, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle, and them that dwell in the heaven. And them that dwell in heaven. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leads into captivity shall go into captivity. He that kills with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spoke as a dragon. And he exercises all the power of the first beast before him, and causes the earth and them that dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he does great wonders, so that he makes fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, and deceives them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he caused all, both small and great, rich and poor, and bond, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Now here's wisdom. Let him that has understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 600 threescore and six. Now I want to go back to look at, yes, verse 14. So he causes the earth to make an image to the beast. Okay. Now, if we continue along the timeline of events studied in previous studies, the ones I've mentioned before, we will remember that when the southern kingdom, the woman, the woman who gave birth to the man-child, okay, that's the southern kingdom. When she departs, then it will trigger the awakening of the northern kingdom. And it will also trigger the beginning of the last 7 years before the end of time. A number of other events will also take place. The UN will recede to merge with the NWO, technology-based empire. The fifth seal will open. The false prophet will rise. And the persecution of the northern kingdom will also begin at this time. So please refer to the study called The Last 7 Years of the End Times to understand all of this. Also, please look at the beast of the book of Revelation. Now, the beginning of the 7 years of judgments will be packed with the events in the first 3.5 years. As the beast empire and its emperor, the false prophet, the anti-Messiah, will begin their rule, which will last for 3.5 years, 42 months. So let's start with verse 1. And I stood upon the sand of the sea. Now this is Yawachanan. He's in a vision. Okay? And everything that he's seeing is prophetic imagery. Not to be taken literally, but to be revealed by Ruach HaKodesh in his timing, the time appointed for the revelation of his prophecy. So this is what Yawachanan saw. He saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. Now many people believe that this beast rising out of the sea is the false prophet, which is wrong. It is not a person. It is a ruling empire. And how do we know this? Because if we go back to when the dragon, who also had 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns on his 7 heads, was symbolic of the Roman Empire and King Herod, who was attached to the Roman Empire. So that beast with 7 heads and horns and crowns is symbolic of an empire. It is also symbolic spiritually of a Satan that is possessing that kingdom, that empire. That's why it could not be and can never be of the false prophet. Because if you go back to the scriptures, we're going to see it. The false prophet is the one who is going to lead the empire, who is also called or referred to as the anti-Messiah. They're not 2 entities. It's just one man that will be possessed by Satan, and a kingdom, an empire that will also be possessed by a Satan. And all of that I have covered in previous studies. All right. So many people believe that this beast rising out of the sea is the false prophet, which is wrong. This is an empire, hence its descriptions with the 7 heads, 10 horns, and 10 crowns upon its 10 horns, similar to the great dragon that went after the woman with the man-child. The earthly manifestation of this great dragon with the 7 heads, 10 horns, and the 7 crowns on its 7 heads was the Roman Empire that ruled when Hamashiach was born. The sea is used as prophetic imagery to describe nations, peoples, kindreds, multitudes, and tongues, a worldwide group of people from different countries. That's what the sea is symbolic of. Now, this is a vast number of people referring to the entire world. Therefore, this beast must be a worldwide ruling empire, just like the Roman Empire was. Now, let's look at Revelation 17, verse 1. And this is Revelation 17 according to the Bible. Okay? And there came one of the 7 angels who had the 7 trumpets and talked with me, saying unto me, Come here. I will show unto you the judgment of the great whore that sits upon many waters. Now, if you drop down to verse 15 of the same chapter, and he said unto me, The waters which you saw where the whore sits are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. So, Yawachanan saw the vision, and then that vision was explained to him. He was given the revelation of the waters, the significance behind the waters, to mean that the whore sits upon peoples and nations and multitudes and tongues, meaning she has control over the entire world. So let's go to Bara'ah chapter 1, verse 10, and forgive me for the squiggly lines. Should have taken care of that, but yeah. Anyways. Chapter 1, verse 10, and Alahayam called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters he called the seas. And Alahayam saw that it was good. So I included this scripture to show you that when you hear of waters, it is also referring to seas, the sea. All right? Not that I'm saying here that the waters and the sea here is symbolic of the multitudes or peoples and nations, but what I'm showing you that waters, when you hear the word waters, is also referring to the sea. And the sea is symbolic of the nations and peoples and multitudes. All right. So let's look at Danayel chapter 7 verse 3. And 4 great beasts came up from the sea, diverse from one another. And these, going down to verse 17 of the same chapter, these great beasts, which are four kings. That's what they're called. But they're actually kingdoms. And we'll see why it is not kings as in a man, 4 men who ruled as kings, but they are kingdoms or empires. So these 4 which shall arise out of the earth, speaking of physical entities, this is the physical manifestation of these 4 kingdoms. So now we drop down to verse 23 of the same chapter to get the revelation given to Danayel by the angel. Thus he said, the 4th beast shall be the 4th kingdom. He didn't say king, he said kingdom. So either that word king was an error made, and I really believe it was an error made on purpose, because it's actually referring to 4 kingdoms. And the 4th kingdom, the 4th beast, shall be the 4th kingdom upon the earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms. So again, he is affirming that the fourth beast is a kingdom diverse from all the other kingdoms, all the other three kingdoms. So in verse 17, that word there should have been kingdoms and not kings. And shall tread it down and break it in pieces. Verse 24, and the 10 horns out of this kingdom, this empire, are 10 kings that shall arise. And another shall rise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings. All right. So there he's also explaining that the 10 horns are in reference to kings, rulers, and we're going to see that confirmation in the book of Revelation. Now, according to the explanations given by the angel to Yochanan and Daniel, we know that the sea is in reference to waters, which is used symbolically to mean multitudes of people on a worldwide scale. Out of the peoples and multitudes shall arise a kingdom or empire. These empires have been around for a long time now, and according to Daniel's prophecy, the fourth empire is still here. So there are only 4 empires to begin with, and the fourth empire is still here. And it will remain here on the earth, although it will transform itself, but it is the fourth empire. So until Hamashiach comes to destroy the fourth empire that will manifest itself in other entities and empires, it will remain here. It's not going anywhere. So in other words, the Roman Empire, which is the fourth empire, is here. And it never left. It went underground, it changed itself, it did all the different things, but it has never left. That's why it was the one kingdom, the one empire that did not have an animal description, because it was a combination of all the 3 empires before it. Okay. It never left us, just went underground to reform itself as the Roman Catholic Church and spawned other ruling entities like the UN and the Whore of Babylon. Now, I've also covered all of this in those studies that I've mentioned before. So now we're going to look at what the 7 heads are symbolic of on this beast empire. There are 7 systems that have been used to control everyone in this world. So even way back during the Roman Empire time, when it was trying to pursue the woman to capture her man-child, to destroy him, these 7 systems were in existence. So let's look what they are. First one, and they're not in any particular order, I just have them noted, okay? First one, economic system. The second one is the governmental system. The third is financial or money system. Fourth is military system. Fifth is educational system. And the other 2 should have been, number 6. That's error. Number 6, empire. Number 6 system is called media and communication system, and number 7 is commercial and or trade system, how they import and export, in other words. So that 3 and 4 should have been 6 and 7. Now when the UN merges with the NWO technology-based empire, that's the one that's coming, it will become its governmental head, as all governments of the world have a representative already in this entity. So the UN will become one of the heads, one of the systems, and it's called the governmental system. Because every government is of the world, every nation on this earth is represented by someone in the UN. So that's how they gain this system. This beast empire is gaining control over the world. All right? The 10 horns are 10 kings or rulers, as the earth will be divided into 10 territories to be governed by these kings. Revelation chapter 17 verse 12, again this is according to the book of Revelation in the Bible. And the 10 horns which you saw are 10 kings which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. So these 10 horns we see are confirmed to be 10 rulers, just like Daniel chapter 7. Now the 10 crowns for the 10 horns or kings or rulers are to show that they will have authority to rule and carry out their evil agendas. So let us compare this beast empire to another beast empire that pursued the woman, who is the southern kingdom, when she was given birth to the man-child. Because remember, there's a lapse in time after the child is risen up to his throne to sit at the right hand of her Abba. Then there's a lapse in time. So now the woman is being pursued not by the same dragon, but by a current entity called the UN. That's an empire. It rules like an empire without it being noted as an empire. But it has all the attributes of an empire because it controls everyone and everything on every tier of this life that we're living in. It controls. And if you doubt me, look at the study that I've shown to you, I've given to you. And you'll see all the different agencies that either this entity owns or is affiliated with them. It's a controlling empire, worldwide empire. And many countries now have given their sovereignty over to the UN. So now the UN, what they can do, if there's say an outbreak or something, they can close down the country. They can close it down. And if you doubt me, look what happened 3 years ago. Did they not close down the entire world? And every government had to comply. All right? So don't let yourself be deceived. Just because it does not call itself an empire, it acts like an empire. But it's hiding in the shadows, doing its dirty deeds. Okay, so the NWO Beast Empire will have 7 heads, 10 horns, and 10 crowns on the 10 horns. So that's the technology-based empire. Now the Roman Empire that pursued the woman with the man-child had 7 heads, 10 horns, and 7 crowns on the 7 heads, meaning the 7 systems. Right? During the reign of the Roman Empire until now, these 7 systems are being used to bring the entire world under one dominion, under control. Control of whom? The Satan and the beast empire. Whatever beast empire is ruling, whether it is the Roman Empire or the UN, these 7 heads, these 7 systems are used to control every aspect of our lives. Now, once this is accomplished, by the beginning of the last 7 years of the end times, these crowns will shift to the kings who are the rulers over the 10 territories to have authority to carry out their evil agendas, but only for 3.5 years. And we know that the great earthquake, the 6th seal, would devastate this empire, rendering its technology useless, but they will return, but not as powerful. So the crowns gives whatever wears the crowns authority. And that authority is allowed by Al-Hayam. It is allowed, permitted, it's like giving them permission to carry out their evil agendas. And if you notice, when we go back to Revelation chapter 17, verse 12, the 10 horns which you saw are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour, meaning now they're not able to rule. So by the time that the NWO returns, it will have still the 7 heads, the 10 kings, the 10 horns, but no crowns. Because the Most High, Ha'ola Yawan, he is going to remove the crowns. No more authority is given to this evil entity, this beast empire with its minions, its evil minions, completely taken away. Now the heads or systems will do all it can to blaspheme Al-Hayam and all he has instructed us to live. How he has instructed us to live. He's given us the laws, the commandments, the statutes, and the judgments. He's given us how we ought to live so that we can be righteous before him and in holiness before him. But what these systems are going to push, they're going to push blasphemy against him by telling you to do the opposite of what he says. And that's where the media and communication system, we know, like the social media, what do you think they're pushing out there? Television, all the different entertainment systems that they have out there, the platforms. They're pushing all the things that will break down morality and all sense of decency, to bring such evil and wicked programming to people so that they can walk in darkness, because that's what they want people to do. Walk in darkness, indulge in the darkness. And the more they indulge in the darkness, is the more that they will be drawn into deeper darkness. Another thing to look at, let's go back to the previous slide. Okay, let's look at the educational system. What are they teaching in elementary schools, high school, colleges and universities now? It's causing young people to turn away from worshiping Al-Hayam to worshiping Satan. Not only are they doing that, but they're teaching them things that would corrupt them, corrupt their minds, bring confusion about who they really are, by telling them that they are not who they are, what their parents call them to be. I'm talking about gender. But you're something else. You could be anything else you want to be. If you wake up in the morning, you feel like you're a cat, you could be a cat. You can identify as a cat. You can identify as a dog. You can identify as a moth on the wall. Whatever you want to be, you can be. So this is the educational system that they're pushing out there now, with little children who are impressionable because they depend on the adults to teach them right from wrong, good from evil. But if they're pushing all that is wicked to these impressionable little ones, what do you think is going to become of these little ones when they grow up? if they grow up. All right, and we know, of course, the financial system. You want to control the world and corrupt the world by passing certain laws, removing physical money so that they have more control over you and your money, how you spend it. That's where the economic system is coming in and the governmental system comes in, because how do they get these laws to be passed? Because Satan owns the governments now. So he can use the governments to pass all the laws to allow the school systems, the educational system to push evil. Same thing with the military system. They have their own military now that are programmed to do what they want them to do. And a lot of the military that's going to be coming out is going to be blended or just pure robotic. Because machines don't have any feelings. So this is what they're doing right now as we speak, using these 7 systems to control everyone on this earth. However, they know they can't control the southern kingdom, the ones who are the elect, the righteous remnant. And that's why I've said this. That beast that comes out of the sea cannot be a person, a false prophet. All right? It cannot be. If we have already the one that's going to come out of the earth, we know that that creature is the false prophet. All right? And he will act like a king on the earth. And the king needs a kingdom, an empire. Okay, let's go on. Okay, let's go back to this one. These systems will pass laws that will defy all morals and ethics. Every single one of these heads. And I don't need to give you any more proof than to tell you, look around you. Just look around you. Go watch what's on television. Listen to what those that are in power is saying. What they're saying about you and what they're saying about what they plan for the world. Go listen to the WEF, the World Economic Forum. Their plans and what they have for you. Okay. There will be no boundaries to the evil that they will promote. Their agenda is to corrupt and defile everyone to make them suitable candidates for satanic worship. And these are the 7 heads or systems of the NWO that is coming. The technology-based empire. This is why technology is so big now. It's huge. It's taken over companies, businesses. When you walk into a supermarket, from the time you walk through the door, there's someone there to greet you. You walk in, there are workers stacking the shelves, they're cashiers, all these different things. Now, you can walk into supermarkets and there are no people except for the shoppers. Everything now, they call it automated, but it is being ran by AI, artificial intelligence. And this is the way of the NWO that's coming. Everything will be ran by AI. Because we know there's no such thing as an intelligent machine. But you will have the machinery that will be possessed with demons. All right. Let's look at verse 2. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. Okay. We have seen these descriptions of animals before in the book of Danayal, which describe the 4 kingdoms that rule this earth, that ruled this world. Each of these animals describe a particular quality about that empire to show us how these same qualities are now used to describe the coming new empire, which will be worse than all these empires combined. So to couple with Danayal's vision of these animal empires, Nebuchadnezzar had a dream about these same empires prior to Danayal's dream. But in his dream, it was a great image with a head of gold, chest and arms of silver, belly and thighs of brass, and legs of iron. And then a 5th empire, similar to the legs of iron, but this one speaks of feet and toes of iron and clay, making it a variation of the 4th empire. So let us look at these qualities to see what the NWO empire will be like. And by the way, the NWO speaks, I'm talking of the New World Order. Okay, we know that this has been spoken about all the way back Bush grandfather. Okay, he was speaking about it. There are 4 beast systems, or rather empires, that have been around since the dawn of time. So let us look at these empires. So the first one is Babylon, and Nebuchadnezzar, he saw the head of gold. Danayal saw it as a lion. Number 2, Medes and Persia, which was dominated by the Persians and their kings. The Medes were conquered by the Persians. So this is the chest and arms of silver. That's what Nebuchadnezzar saw. And Danayal saw it as the bear. Number 3, empire, which is Greece. Alexander the Great died, and 4 of his generals became kings, and his empire was divided into 4 parts. And that is the belly and thighs of brass that Nebuchadnezzar saw in his dream, and Danayal saw the leopard in his vision. Now the 4th empire, Rome, the worst of them all, was a beast with no description, and this was for a very good reason. The Romans conquered Jerusalem. That's the last conquering was in 70 AD, and it was horrible. And that is the legs of iron and the feet and toes of iron and clay, is in reference to the Roman Catholic Church, which we know is the Reformed Roman Empire. Now, I went into great detail talking about all of this in the study that I did called The Beast of the Book of Revelation. Please refer to that to get a clear and deeper understanding when I said the Roman Catholic Church. Now, the body of a leopard is showing us how fast this empire will be able to move. The feet of a bear shows us strength and great power to stamp underfoot anyone that comes in their way. And the mouth of the lion tells us that this NWO will have power in its mouth to both blaspheme and at the same time persuade either through threats or cunning to get the whole earth to fall under its spell. It's going to have speech to bring people under its spell. And if you doubt me, remember what happened 3 years ago. All these mantras, we're in this together. All these different mantras that they came up with, they were spells to bring people the weak-minded people under the control of Satan. Only the ones that were under the power of the Most High were not under this spell. Okay, these are all the attributes of Satan. Then he will give his power, his seat, and his authority to the NWO Empire, who will rule over the people with great evil. Satan's power is corruption. His seat is a throne that sits upon darkness, and his authority is his evil cunning to influence all to sin and to live in his darkness. That's what it all comes down to, living in darkness. Because when we are in darkness, he has full reign, full control over us and our lives. But when we are in the light, darkness is afraid of the light, so it will not come near. So his plan, his agenda is to draw as many people away from the light or out of the light into his darkness. He is the ruler of darkness and sin, which will lead many people to condemnation and eternal death in the lake of fire with him and his fallen angels. At this point, the Satans and the fallen angels know that their days are numbered. So the race against time is to draw as many peoples into their wicked snares to death and destruction. So they're working fervently even now to get their program, their agenda activated. But they cannot do anything ahead of Allah-Hayam. He has the last say. He has the first say and the last say. They can do nothing without his permission. They would like to get the program on the road and get more wickedness being rolled out, but they can't. He restrains them. Why? Because of the southern kingdom. Once the southern kingdom is out of the way, then you're going to see evil rolling out like it's never been rolled out before. And we think that the world is dark now. Wait until the NWO and the anti-Messiah rises up. Thankfully, the southern kingdom will not be here. Thankfully. Let me make sure that I've completed that. Yes, I have. Moving on to verse 3 and 4. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed. And all the world wondered after the beast, and they worshipped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. And they worshipped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? Now, many people have assumed that the 7 heads are 7 literal mountains upon which the horse sits. But these are not literal mountains, as a mountain cannot be wounded. Since when can a mountain, because of war, because that's how we're going to find out the head is going to be wounded, how can a mountain be wounded unto death? Through war. It's impossible. But a system can. And the reason why it's compared to a mountain is because a mountain is a high place. A great place. A high place. It is so high that some mountains cannot be climbed. Or if it is climbed, that person may not come back down because it is so high, it's freezing up there, all different elements. You have to come back to climb a mountain. So the idea that we're supposed to see in our minds when we think of mountain and these systems is that they are great. They are so great that no one can overcome them. because of the evil that has built these systems up since all the way back from the Roman Empire. People today would like to take down these mountains, like the educational system, the economical system. People would love to take them down because of the evil influence that it is, infiltrating their lives, the lives of their children, the lives of their homes, their livelihoods, everything. They would like to take it down, but they can't. It is too big a system. It is humongous. It is beyond anyone's capability to take down, with the exception of one person, that's Alahaya. Therefore, the systems fit within this prophecy as one of these systems can sustain a deadly blow through war. Now, we know war affects a country on many different levels. All right? It could affect the way how trade and commerce operates within the country, because it could stop shipments of things coming in and shipments of things going out. And that would also affect the economy and the financial system, which will also interfere with the government of that country. So war can be used to destroy a country and then rebuild it the way how it wants. The evil entity wants it to be rebuilt. And that's what they've been doing for generations. Going into countries, bringing wars to destroy the economy and everything else in that country, and then reformat it with the right people in place. All right. But in this case, it will be the economics of this ruling empire that will be destroyed by the war that it wages against the Northern Kingdom. It will be a war. It will be a war. But which war is going to cause this system to collapse? The war with the Northern Kingdom. The Northern Kingdom are the only people on the earth that are not brought under control by the NWO. Now, yes, there will be some Gentiles that will resist, because not all the Gentiles are going to be under control either. But they're not going to have the power to fight a war against the NWO. And according to prophecy, that war is waged against the Northern Kingdom, not the Gentiles that resist. Our brethren will fight valiantly against the NWO to at least hamper them somewhat by affecting their trades, their communications, their technology, which will deeply affect all the other heads, but prove deadly to the economics of this ruling empire. But Satan doesn't care. He doesn't care. Nevertheless, Satan will use this to his advantage to restore to life this dead economic system, to employ a more rigorous system in no time at all. No wonder the world will marvel at this beast empire, who is able then to make war against them. After the Northern Kingdom will show themselves to be mighty, yet they will fail in their attempt at destroying this empire. Our brethren will not prevail against this evil entity, but it will prevail against them. They're still going to fight, because they're not going to submit to this beast empire, and it will be given to them to fight. Remember in the previous study that I did, Hamashiach in the book of Luke was speaking to his disciples, and he said there will come a time when you're going to have to sell your garment to buy a sword. He said, do it. But he was not speaking to the southern kingdom. He was speaking to the northern kingdom. And then when Peter picked up the sword, remember when the soldiers came to arrest Hamashiach, he picked up the sword and chopped off the high priest's servant's ear. And what did Hamashiach say to him? Gird up your sword, for those that live by the sword will die by the sword. And don't you know that if I wanted to, I can pray to my Father and he can send me 12 legions of angels to rescue me? You think these people have power over me? I remember in one of the Gospels, when they came to him and they asked him, they said something to him. I have to go back and read this in the Gospel. But his response was, I am. And with that, the people fell back. They fell on their faces. They fell on the ground. Because his response, his word itself is power. He is power. If he wanted to, he could have exercised power against them. But he didn't, because that's what he came to do. He came to die for us. But it will be given to the northern kingdom to fight, because this is their way, their time to be martyred. Just like the southern kingdom when they fought against the Roman Empire and the Maccabean revolt. We had a lot of martyrs. All right. So this is the northern kingdom's time to die, and to die in righteousness. Verse 5 now of the same chapter, Romans chapter 8. And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. So that's how we know that this beast empire, the NWO, will only reign along with the anti-Messiah. They're only going to reign for 3.5 years. They will have control for 3.5 years, because they will continue on after the 3.5 year mark, but not with the same power that they had previously. But they are given to prevail against the saints, against the northern kingdom, to have total control and power over the entire earth for 3.5 years. Verse 6, and he opened his mouth in blasphemy against Elohim, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. And power was given to him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. So he only has 3.5 years. This empire, it only has 3.5 years to have total control. Now, remember that the way how prophecy is spoken, what the Most High does is that he gives pronouns to entities. Like the moon is called, the pronoun for the moon is she. The pronoun for the sun is he. The pronoun for the southern kingdom is she. All right. The pronoun for the beast that comes out of the earth is he. Sorry, the earth and the sea, they're both he's. But the one that comes out of the sea is an empire. Even though he is called a he, it is called a he. All right? But it doesn't mean that it's one person. The entity is called he, but it's in reference to a great number of people under this satanic system. this satanic empire. All right. The length of time for this beast empire to rule is 3.5 years, which may seem a short while, but in fact, it will feel like the longest 3.5 years due to the great evil that will be upon this earth. The beast empire will implement many laws and rule with great cruelty, especially against anyone who opposes its rules. Those that will submit will be like drones, worker bees, living a gray life. The environment will fit the grayness of their lifestyle because it is the desire of Satan to keep all peoples oppressed under its control. So when you're under oppression, even think about it now. When you feel depressed and oppressed, don't you feel gray? Does the whole world look gray to you? Well, he's going to make the world look literally gray. Everything is going to be gray. There'll be no color in your life for anyone who remains on this earth. There'll be no color. You'll be a drone working in a factory somewhere. And these are the ones that their names are not written in the Lamb's Book of Life, that have submitted to this empire. This is what it is going to do to people. Take away all your rights. You have to live like in a sardine can. One on top of another. And it's going to be bland. The food that you eat is bland. Your life is bland. But you see, these people aren't going to notice it because they're already programmed to accept this. On a physical level, mental level, spiritual level. In fact, there's no spirituality with them anymore because they've taken the toxin. So now they are a hybrid species. So they're not even going to realize that they're living a gray life. But then you have the few Gentiles that will be living in little pockets of communities hidden. And the Most High is going to protect them too. Oh yes, he will. Because some of the Gentiles will join us in the new heaven and the new earth when it comes. But they have to go through these judgments to prove to them that they're not a superior race. Because a lot of them in their minds think that they're a superior race. Because they've been given a superior life to live on this earth over Negroes. Not everyone has that mentality. You might find 1 in a million that does not have that mentality. But for the most part, many of them, even though they may say they love you, they like you, and they want to help you, they have in the back of their minds, they're only going through what they're going through because they're cursed. Well, they're not wrong. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that you add to our curses by mistreating us and taking away from us. But then there's some, even though they want to help and they still have this thing in their minds where they feel that, okay, you're subservient to me. And you will always be subservient to me. Even though I'm poor just like you. I'm still better than you are because I am white and you're not. You're a Negro. A lot of them have that mentality. And it's such a heavy demonic mentality that's been passed on to them for many generations. Because, I mean, come on, in the educational system, when you open up the history books, whose faces or images do you see? It looks like them. They call themselves the conquerors. They're going to different countries and nations and villages and what have you and conquer the people and call it by their own names. Everything that they look at, even the pictures of our Mashiach, has their image attached to it. Everything. If you look at the movies that the so-called Christian people put out there with Moses, Marsha, who does he look like? He looks like them and not like us. So on every level of their lives, they've been brainwashed to believe that they are the superior people on every level. So these judgments that they have to go through will have to break them. Either to destroy them because they're useless to the Father and to us, or to break them to reformat their thinking that they're nothing without Him. And when they see who He is, that He looks nothing like them, they have a decision to make. Will I want to serve Allah Hayam, who looks like the Negroes, or do I want to serve the devil who looks like me? So that's why they have to go through, and there are going to be some that will submit to Allah Hayam, and those are the ones that He will have hidden, and He will watch out for them. Why? Because they've submitted to Him and they believe. Okay. Now, let me carry on. These ones will have no fight in them to resist, only to be obedient. Why? Because they're drones. They have no life in them. They will not be able to think for themselves, only what is given to them to think, along with all the other people, to form a beehive type mentality, just like the Borgs from the popular sci-fi show back in the day when I used to watch Star Trek and those kind of sci-fi movies. There was the Borgs, you know, they were part man, part machine, and they lived in a cube. And we know what the cube represents, right? Saturn, demonic Satan. Well, it represents Satan, Saturn. So even in these shows, they were telling you what they were planning. So when the Borg invade, when the Borgs invade a planet, what they do is who they kept alive, they will operate on them to make them part machine, part man, and then hook them up to the hive. And they all had one thought. And when one decided to have his own thought, what they would do is they will gather him up and reprogram him, because he must only think what is given to him to think, and all must think the same thing. That's called beehive type mentality. All right. And for some reason, that always stuck with me. Of all the different episodes that I have watched on Star Trek, that has always stuck with me. And now I understand why. Now I understand why, because that's the kind of people that they will have in the last days. The ones that will submit themselves to this evil empire, that's what they will become. A Borg, worshipping the cube and living in the cube. It is for this reason why this beast empire will go after the northern kingdom, because many will not comply with the NWO mandates. There are some of our brethren that will, because they're cowards and they love this world and the things of this world and all the empty promises that the NWO will give to them or promise them. They will submit. Now this is the war that is referred to that will destroy the economy of this beast empire, but only temporary. In the end, the NWO will prevail against our brethren. It has to happen. It is prophecy. Okay? We're going to see in the next chapter why it is prophecy, because it goes into seal number 5. And power was given to him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. Is revealing to us that this beast empire will be worldwide, controlling the entire earth. Verse 8. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb, slain from the foundation of the world. And that lamb that was slain, is none other than Hamashiach, our Mashiach. And he has a book of life that is written in it, all the names of those that will be resurrected to life at the end of the age. Or if your names are not written in this Lamb's book of life, when you go before the white throne for your judgment and your name is not found in there, you will be cast into the lake of fire. Now even the ones that are remaining on the earth, the Gentiles, only the Gentiles will be faced with the white throne judgment as well. Our brethren, the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom, we've already gone through our judgments and been given our rewards. We don't have to face the white throne judgment. Only Gentiles and our wicked, evil brethren, they will be judged the white throne judgment, because their names will be blotted out of the Lamb's book of life and they will be cast into the lake of fire. All right. No, none of our brethren, whether the northern kingdom or southern kingdom, they are not going to be lingering, that's the better word, lingering on the earth after their righteous remnant of their brethren are regathered. No, as I said in the previous study, when the southern kingdom is regathered, any of our brethren that is not taken up in the chariots, they will be destroyed by Hamashiach himself. They'll be destroyed. They will not be left to linger. They'll be done, finished. So whoever is not taken up, the others will be destroyed. That's why he always has the parables of the wheat and the tares, the wheat and the chaff, the grapes and the wild grapes, because there are only two kinds of peoples. Either you are righteous before him or you're not. If you're not found righteous, then you're destroyed, meaning you're going to go into the lake of fire. Same thing with the northern kingdom. There are only two kinds. Either you are righteous and holy before him or you're not. And if the ones that are not, he will destroy as well. He himself is going to destroy them, so that there are none left behind. The only people left behind after the northern kingdom begin their exodus are the Gentiles, because the judgments that are coming are meant for the Gentiles, but the northern kingdom also has to go through the first 4 trumpet judgments. They have to go through them. They have to pass through them, because they too still needs to be sifted, and they're going to be sifted up to the 4th trumpet to see what is hidden inside of them, if they truly believe in Al-Hayam and walk in his commandments or not. And I looked at that in the last study. Everyone that worships the beast empire, and including the anti-Messiah, will be those whose names are not written in the Lamb's book of life. This means that they are already condemned before reaching the white throne judgment. It is these ones that will submit and live in complete obedience to the beast empire, and they will worship them willingly. Verse 9 of the book of Revelation, chapter 8, if any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leads into captivity shall go into captivity. He that kills with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here's the patience and the faith of the saints. Now, we have heard many times that phrase, if any man have an ear, let him hear. Hamashiach says that over and over and over again, because he's speaking of spiritual ears. When Ruach HaKodesh speaks to us, that means that we have ears to hear. And when we are given those kinds of ears to hear, then it means that he's going to give us the understanding. Because we're not only listening to what Ruach HaKodesh is saying, but we're also hearing. When you hear, you understand. So it's not for everyone to have the ears to hear. It is only those that are given that ability to hear what Ruach HaKodesh is saying. Now, this is telling us that not everyone will hear and understand the words of this prophecy. Those who comply with the beast empire are those who are lost. Therefore, we are not expected to try to persuade them otherwise, else they will turn on you. So this is a warning for the northern kingdom. The northern kingdom will be divided as to whether to fight the NWO or not. They are all saints of Ha'olah Yawan, that is the highest, but they will be divided. Some will want to fight and some will not. But those that have ears to hear, they'll know, yes, this is my time to be a martyr, and yes, I will fight. But when you take up the sword to fight, expect that same sword to turn on you. And you know, there's some of our brethren that will fight to the end, because they're fighting for righteousness, to make sure that they're the weak ones, the ones that aren't fighters, can make it. Those that are not for war will do so to secure their freedom, and those that are for war will do so to secure their freedom and that of their families. They'll feel very strong. And not only that, they'll feel very strong to fight for righteousness. Just like our forefathers. All right? Our forefathers were fighters. They were warriors. All the different wars that our people have been through, we fought it to maintain holiness, especially in our tabernacle, because we know that the enemies want to come and steal the items in the tabernacle or to defile our tabernacle. And we fought against that. We've gone through so many different kind of warfare throughout the generations. So we are a generation of people that fight for righteousness. Those who will not fight will wait on Ha'olah Yawan to deliver them. Not everyone will have that spirit to fight. Only the ones that are called out to be martyrs. But the saints that do fight will help to benefit those who will not. This calls to mind the Maccabeans revolt, who were valiant fighters against the Roman Empire. Similarly, our northern kingdom brethren will be valiant, taking captives and killing by means of waging war. In like manner, our brethren will be taken captives and killed. And many will die in this war, but this will be the martyrs of the northern kingdom, necessary to fulfill the fifth seal judgment. It will take great faith and patience for the righteous remnant to hold on until they are delivered. And that's why it's going to be called the time of Yaakob's trouble. It's going to be horrific. And that's why he said that here, let's go back to that phrase. Here's the patience and the faith of the saints. You're going to need a lot of patience and faith to hold on, because when they see their brethren being killed off in some of the most gruesome ways, it's going to have to take a lot of patience and faith. But it has to happen, because the Father, Ha'abba, is weeding out the weak ones, the liars, the deceivers, and provoking righteousness and holiness from our people, the northern kingdom. Verse 11 of Revelation chapter 8, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth. Now this is the false prophet. And he had two horns like a lamb, and he spoke as a dragon. And he exercises all the power of the first beast before him, and causes the earth and them that dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. Now, even though as we are reading these two accounts, don't think that there is a great amount of time that happens before the NWO rises up and the false prophet will rise up. They're all going to rise up practically around the same time. But he is giving you an account as to what the beast empire is going to do against our northern kingdom brethren, and how the false prophet, he is going to usher in a whole different sets of laws and rules and whatnots to support the NWO. All right. All is going to happen at that first year mark once the southern kingdom is gone. It's all going to happen. Go back and look at the chart that I drew for this last 7 years of the end times. I did quite a few charts in there to show you the timeline. So it's not going to be months before the emperor, the anti-Messiah rises up. No, he's going to rise up close to the time when the NWO rises up. They're going to rule together. But he is showing us through prophecy, Allah-Hayam is showing us through prophecy how devastating each of these entities are in their own the space that he's given to them, the time that he's given to them. But they're going to be ruling together. They're not going to be ruling separately. They're going to be ruling together. But he's given them, okay, let me give them all these paragraphs to describe who they are, and what they're going to do. And then let me move on to the next entity. But they're all ruling together. Remember, they're only given 3.5 years. So the anti-Messiah is going to rise up practically around the same time that the NWO rises up. As a matter of fact, what is going to cause the anti-Messiah to really show his face is when that war begins against the Northern Kingdom that will devastate the economic system. Because it's because of him that is going to cause that head to be healed and cause the world to wander after this beast and this anti-Messiah who has great power. Remember, he's going to have great power. And this is how he's going to show his power when he heals the system. He's going to show his might. He's going to show his ability, his genius to cause the world to love him because of what he did for the beast empire. He doesn't say that in the scriptures, but you can read it between the lines. You can read it between the lines. What does the world cry out for when things go wrong? Say, for example, just think about the world today. Things are going chaotic right now. And people will cry out, we need someone to come and fix this problem. Isn't that what the world cries out? Yes. So similarly, once the economic system goes down, there's going to be a cry out for someone to come and fix this problem. And of course, he will be the one to come with his genius to fix it in no time at all. It's going to be overnight. All right. The beast coming out of the earth is a man, the beast king that will rule over the beast empire. I'm just checking to see if I read all of chapter 12. Okay, not chapter 12, verse 12. Okay, let me read verse 12 again. And he exercises the power of the first beast before him and causes the earth and them that dwell therein to worship the first beast whose deadly wound was healed. And we know that why Yochanan keeps repeating the deadly wound that was healed to identify which beast he's speaking about. So he, being the false prophet, is causing the earth to worship the beast empire. Now this beast coming out of the earth is a man, the beast king that will rule over the beast empire. His description shows us that he is an imitator, to be like our Mashiach. Like a lamb, because we call him Hamashiach, the lamb that was slain. He wants to be called a lamb too. But he speaks like a dragon. Therefore, he is rightly called anti-Messiah. I refuse to call him Mashiach. He is anti-Messiah. And I did a short study on the anti-Messiah, who he is. And because there are many people that claim, it's Barak. It is the trumpet man. They're all wrong. If you know the personality and the character of this creature, you will never think in a million years, if you had that time, that it is either one of those two characters. No, they're pointing to this other person in Israel, this guy that comes out doing all these miracles. All right. None of those people fit the description of the anti-Messiah. He is going to be loved by everyone. He's going to be charismatic. He's going to be smooth in his speech. He's going to be loved by all because he's going to be so flamboyant and pretty. He's going to be a beautiful man. When you look at him, people will be wondering, even the men will be wandering after him. And when I say wandering, I'm not talking about in a lustful way. I'm just talking about being in awe of him. All right? Same thing with the women. But he's going to be a lover of self. He's going to look in the mirror and love himself so much that he will have no desire for women or men. He's going to be so like, what do you call it? He's going to be so effeminate. But people will think he's such a genius. He's such a brilliant man, right? They're going to think, well, it's cool. He's cool. Even though he's effeminate, he's soft. But he's brilliant, right? But he's going to be soft and almost feminine, which will encourage men to be like him. Effeminate. Isn't that what they're doing right now? They're saying anyone that, men that are behaving like men, they call them toxic males, right? I'm telling you, you can't get it any better than that. This is the how ridiculous this satanic system is. They're re-educating people, right? Telling them that you need to be in touch with your feminine side so that you will not be a toxic male. And what is a toxic male? A man that thinks like a man and walks like a man and talks like a man and dresses like a man. They call that being toxic. I'm telling you. So in other words, they want men to behave like women and women to behave like men. But this character is going to embrace both and be loved by all. No, this Barack man that was once the president of the US, was he loved by all? No. He brought a lot of divisions. Same thing with the trumpet guy, the orange man, creature. Can't quite say that it's a man, but anyways, these people, right? So these characters that you see today on the world stage, they do not fit the personality or the characteristics of the anti-Messiah. He will be loved by all. That's why he will be able to persuade all to worship the beast empire. He will be able to persuade all to take the final dose of toxin, right? Because we know that the toxin is being issued out for the last couple of years, right? He'll be able to persuade all that if you don't take it, if you don't keep taking this toxin, you can't buy or sell. All right? He's going to have speech on his side. He's going to be charismatic. And none of these two people fit that description. They can't persuade anybody to do anything. They might be able to persuade a few people, but definitely not the whole world. That's why you got to know, you got to hear what Ruach HaKodesh is saying. In other words, you have to have the ears, the spiritual ears to hear and the spiritual eyes to see, because if you don't, you will be deceived. Remember, Satan is a master of lies. He's the father of lies and deception. And only when you have Ruach HaKodesh who's guiding you, who is your light, the word that he gives to us becomes our light and our lamp, so that deception cannot come to pull the wool over our eyes and blind us. That's why we need to be so close to him at all times. And this anti-Messiah, he is going to be one tricky creature. He's going to be tricky, but then he's going to turn out to be a brute. Because he's going to win the hearts of people with his charisma. But before the end actually comes for this empire and for him, He's going to prove himself to be a brute. But it will be too late. People are already under his spell. So, however, in this book of prophecy, the book of Revelation, he's called a false prophet. He's alluded to being the anti-Messiah. Anti means against the Messiah. But in the book of Revelation, he is called the false prophet. And that's why people get confused and say, oh, the false prophet comes first and then the anti-Messiah comes next, or the anti-Messiah comes first and the false prophet comes next. One comes from the sea, one comes from... No, you have it all wrong. You have to learn through Ruach HaKodesh teaching us. Otherwise, you will be walking on in darkness. That's deception. The truth sets us free. Now, they are both one and the same evil entity, the incarnate Satan that will cast his spell over all the earth, because many will hail him like a Messiah. He's going to come with his miracles and all these wondrous things that he's going to do that they wouldn't be able to explain. He will be loved by the people on the earth because it is through him that the deadly wound, the economics of the world, was healed. Quote unquote. He will be charismatic, highly educated, a genius. He's going to make the Gates guy look like a moron. Well, he is a moron, but he's going to make the Gates guy and all the various ones that claim that they created this thing and made that thing. They, like the Musk guy, all of them rolled together, right? He's going to make them look like idiots. Because he's going to be that highly educated. He's going to be a genius. Flashy, flamboyant, and a lover of himself. Therefore, he will be single, never married. He will not be a married man that had children. He is going to be single and proudly so. Because he's just going to love himself so much. Right? He's going to be a lover of himself. All right. Please see my study called The Anti-Messiah for more information about the personality and the character of this entity. It's a very interesting study. I don't tell you who he is because, frankly speaking, I don't really care who he is because I don't intend to be here when he comes around. But for all those ones that are pointing fingers and saying it's this person and that person, stop doing that. Stop it. Oh, come on. Stop it. You really don't know what you're talking about. You really don't know what you're talking about. Oh, man. You gotta laugh. If you don't laugh, because the evil is so dark and so evil and wicked, if you don't laugh, you'll be depressed, right? So you gotta laugh and shake it off. Okay, through the sweet, persuasive speech of this beast king, he will cause the earth to worship the beast empire. Now, the idea behind these Satans is to draw everyone away from the light and into their darkness. This will especially include our Northern Kingdom brethren. Some will comply in order to save their lives and the lives of their loved ones, but there will be many who will not comply. You see, Satan's greatest enemy aren't the Gentiles on this earth. It's the people of Alahayam, the Northern Kingdom and the Southern Kingdom. We are his threat. We are his greatest threat. He's not threatened by the Gentiles living on this earth, even the ones that oppose him. He doesn't care about them. But he knows that Yashra'al, all 12 tribes, we have Alahayam behind us. And once we are awakened to the truth about who we really are and we start to worship him and praise him and submit our lives to him, we gain his power. And that's what he's afraid of. He doesn't want us to become powerful because our power would exceed him and his power. And even though we're given the power to exceed him. For the southern kingdom, we have been devastated enough. We've been persecuted enough. And the northern kingdom, well, they're going to get their time of trials and tribulation. And yes, they'll have some power to fight against him. But we know that they will not prevail. They'll do some damage, but not enough to destroy that empire and its emperor, the anti-Messiah. But that's who he's afraid of. He's afraid of us. Verse 13 of Revelation chapter 8, rearranged. And he does great wonders so that he makes fire to come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, and deceives them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast. This is the empire. Saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had a wound by a sword and did live. Now the anti-Messiah or the false prophet will be seen to do amazing wonders to wow the minds of those who dwell on the earth. The same people whose names will not be found written in the Lamb's book of life. The evil influence of this beast king will be so great upon the people on the earth that he will be able to persuade these same people to make an image unto the beast empire. And we know that it will be the beast empire whose image will be made because of the sentence that speaks of the wound that was healed. That identification allows us to know which beast Yahuwahanan was speaking about. And we know it is the beast empire, the NWO, that will have an image, a statue. Okay? And it is here where we would know that this wound was made by war. Whenever you hear sword, it speaks of war. So let's move on to verse 15 of Revelation chapter 8, rearranged. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. So those are speaking of our brethren and even the Gentiles that refuse to worship Satan. Now, this anti-Messiah, he is trying to make himself look like he is the Messiah on the earth. And so when he does these miracles, they are actually demonic powers that he is using. Trickery, and even the life that he gave to the image of the beast is not really life that he is giving, because Satan has no power to give life unto anything. But what he does is that he causes a demon to possess that inanimate object, that statue. And we know that it is a demon because it is revealed in Revelation 16 verse 13. We're going to look at that in a minute. Satan has no power to give life unto anything. He is a created being. Only the Creator, Alahayam, Yahweh, only He can give life. And He gave life through His Son. Now, the power to give life unto the image will be the demonic possession of this image. And we know this because later on in the book of Revelation, an unclean spirit like a frog will come out of this image. And you also reveal what the image looks like. It's amazing. It's all written there, but you have to have the eyes of Ruach HaKodesh. You have to see when he shows you, because you can actually read these scriptures and overlook a lot of information that is there right before our eyes. Revelation chapter 16 verse 13. And I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, which is the image of the beast empire. So now we know that the image of the beast empire is that of a dragon. Now, does that come as a surprise? No wonder Satan is described to look like a dragon. And out of the mouth of the beast, which is the beast empire, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. All right? For they are the spirits of devils working miracles, which go forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole world, to gather them to battle of that great day of Allahayam Shaddai. That means Allahayam, the Almighty. Now, please remember that Yawachanan was seeing spiritual manifestations of these entities. The beast empire, remember I said that prophetic imagery, when Allahayam is giving us that image, that idea, that thought, his thought in the form of prophetic imagery, it takes on almost like a personification of something else, because he wants us to see it and compare it to whatever the image is because of its character, its characteristics, and its personality. So the beast empire, the very first one in Revelation 12 was like a dragon. And then the second one in Revelation chapter 13, from the very beginning, chapter 1, and I'm using, forgive me, I'm using the old chapters from the Bible, but it's actually Revelation chapter 8. The one that comes out of the sea, it has the body of a leopard, feet like a bear, and the mouth of a lion. All right. So the descriptions that he's given to us, he's comparing it to either animals or some other entity, like a dragon. But what he wants us to understand is that the picture that Yawachanan is describing to us is supposed to give us the fullness of the understanding if we allow Ruach HaKodesh to give us the revelation. All right? Now, the beast empire will have its appearance like the dragon, although the attributes of a leopard, bear, and lion. Now, remember when Danayel saw the fourth empire, he could not describe it because it was so grotesque. And it was looking dragon-like. But yet it wasn't like a dragon. Because if it had that body like a leopard and feet like a bear and mouth like a lion, Yawachanan did a better job at describing it. Whereas Danayel didn't even know where to begin to describe it. He just said it looks terrible. But initially, the beast empire is identified as a dragon. Now, we've never seen a real dragon before, but there are dragons in the spiritual sense because Satan is described as a dragon. Now, remember in the prophecy of Danayel that the fourth beast was indescribably terrible to behold. It could not be compared to any particular animal because it was comprised of a number of earthly animals plus the dragon. So imagine this combination of all those three animals, the lion, the bear, and the leopard, and then a dragon. All right? A blend of these animals together will not be easy to describe. And plus, it was horrific to look at. So out of the mouth of the empire, and this is what I was beginning to say, even though the empire is a group of people and systems and whatnots, in the spiritual realm, it's a creature. And what Yawakanan saw was this creature that is symbolic of the beast empire, the NWO, and out of its mouth, the frog came out. That evil spirit, that unclean spirit came out, which we know is a Satan, by the way. It is a Satan. It is a Satan. Now let's move on. Verse 16 of the same book, Revelation chapter 8. And he caused all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. Now a lot of people jump on that and think, well, the talk song cannot be it because it has to be a mark in your forehead and a mark in your right hand. Hello. This is prophetic imagery. He's wanting us to understand what's on your mind when he speaks about the forehead, and right hand is your action. But we'll read on. Let's read on. Verse 17, that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Verse 18, and here's wisdom. Let him that has understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. Now, when he's speaking of a man, he's talking about this is going to be a physical, earthly being, meaning it's going, the number of the beast, all right, represents three entities, three creations, one. But it also means that it affects the earthly beings, the human beings, the people. It affects people. That's why he calls it the number of a man. He's not talking about the number of the anti-Messiah, but he's expressing that it is a number that affects man. Yes, it is the number of the beast, and it is the number of the anti-Messiah, but it is intended to affect people that were the creation of Ha'ola Yawan. And his number is 603 We know the 3 6s, right? So it is a number that is intended to affect all of mankind, to bring them under submission to worship Satan. The anti-Messiah will show his true colors, that of blackness. He doesn't have any color except black, for his wickedness, because very strict mandates and laws will be instituted on the earth. No one will be allowed to buy or sell, not being able to work or shop, not even online. You'll be virtually cut off from life as you once knew it. How people will be able to survive during these days, Ha'ola Yawan will shorten these days for the elect's sake. That's why they're only given 3.5 years. It will be the most horrific time on the earth, where there will be slaughterings and utter destruction of anyone not complying. So let's look at Matthew 24:21. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. And except those days shall be shortened, there should no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake, those days should be shortened. Now the elect mentioned here is singular because it is referring to the northern kingdom as a collective and not as individuals. There will be 3 identity markers, which those that comply will be identified as worshippers of the beast empire and its king, the anti-Messiah. 1. Have a mark which we know is the toxin that transforms from created beings to a hybrid species. Now, once taken, it will transform your mind, meaning your forehead. When he talks about the forehead, it transforms your mind and your inability to act independently as an individual to do what you want to do. So you become a Borg. Yes, you become a Borg. You'll be controlled and you will not have the power, which is your right hand, to do otherwise. So that's when they're speaking of the mark in the forehead and the mark in the hand is speaking of controlling your thoughts and controlling your actions. It has nothing to do with a chip putting in your forehead or in your hand. You can remove a chip. But what you cannot remove is what they put in your D-N-A-. You can't take that out once they transform you from the created being into another hybrid species. You cannot change that. You can't go back. All right. This will be the only option of the drone workers. So all these people that are left on the earth, they're the ones that are going to be the drone workers, and they're the ones that are going to have to take this toxin. All right. 2. Having the name of the beast is the option of the earthly agents of Satan who are in power on every tier of this earth. So the ones that are controlling the governments, the ones that are controlling the high places on this earth, that are doing the bidding, the minions of Satan, the earthly minions of Satan, the earthly agents of Satan, they're not going to take the toxin because they're worshippers of him. They have his name. Okay? They have his name, so they don't need to take the toxin. They will have his name because they will not be taking the toxin. Just what I just said. Okay, number 3. The number of his name is 666. Those are 3 sixes. Man, woman, and beast were created on the 6th day. Hence, we have 3 sixes. Now, this option is for those who have transformed themselves to have both genders and who will also be possessed by demons. There will be no need for this group to take the toxin, as they will be in the image of the beast. And this is the meaning of the 3 sixes. So if you look at the Baphomet is made up of 3 creatures, 3 creations, man, woman, and beast. Goat head, the upper body of a female, lower body of a male. All right? And the feet of the goat, head of a goat, feet of a goat. All right? And that is the image that the devil wants people on this earth to have, to become. Either you become a hybrid species, human and machine, or you become this other creature, having 3 creatures in one body, male, female, and beast, demon. We know that the alphabet rainbow creatures are the perfect candidates for worshiping the beast empire. Once their bodies are mutilated, there are no options to return into factory settings, meaning once you start cutting and rearranging your body, there's no way for you to bring it back. Right? And I've seen many videos of people that are crying now because they regret cutting and changing themselves. They regret it. And I'm telling you, a lot of them are suicidal, if not already committed suicide. because there's no going back for them. There's no identity for them after this. They can't go back to who they were because they've already changed and cut away the necessary parts that identify them who they were in the first place. If you understand what I'm saying, I'm trying to outsmart the algorithm. I'm telling you, you got to speak in you call it cryptic language. You got to kind of speak in code, because then they will accuse you of being misinforming based on, medical misinformation or what have you. You're speaking the truth, but they don't want the truth out there, right? So this is the sad state of affairs for these people. When they go and they do this thing, there's no going back. You're marred. You're permanently marred. And there's no going back to who you were. And though some regret, there's still others that do not. And they are doing the duty of Satan by trying to persuade others that this is the right choice. You're not happy with yourself because you're not you. All right? Now they will be rejected by Allah Hayyam, because to do this to their bodies will take some form of possession in the first place to be deceived enough to want to do it. You don't wake up one morning and decide, well, you know what, I need to go and get this operation to cut my bits off. That's not normal. You got to be possessed by demons to want to go to that extent. It's one thing to dress the part, to dress like the opposite gender. And it's another thing when you go and you start cutting bits off and sewing on other parts. You're deceived, you're possessed when you go that way. Many of these kinds of people are satanic worshippers, and this comes as no surprise. The ones that have no problem with it and they're going along with it, they are satanic worshippers. Then there are few that, because they were tricked into believing this lie because they're unhappy with their lives, they're the ones that are depressed about it now. And some of them committed suicide. Now, it is for this reason why this agenda has been strongly pushed these last few years, because it is all part of the mark of the beast. Believe it or not, this change of gender is part of the mark of the beast. You have the mark, which is the toxon, then you have the name of the beast, and then you have the number of his name. The number of his name will be when you transform yourself to have three created creatures in one body. And when I say created, because we know demons aren't really, demons are the Nephilim spirits, come from angel and the human combined. So yes, they are created too. The Nephilim spirit was not created, but the parents were created by Ha'ola Yawan. And this is the ending of chapter 8. I believe that I've covered everything that I need to cover. That this is really blowing my mind, how all of this is opening up. And I'm gonna say this, that if you don't watch my other studies, especially the ones that are not called the book of Revelation, but the ones that are included, the last 7 years of the end times, the beast of the book of Revelation. If you don't watch those 2 videos, and also the anti-Messiah, if you don't watch those 3 videos, you're not really going to get the full understanding, because I now understand why Ruach HaKodesh has spoken to me to do those separate from these studies, because if I did, then these studies would be very, very, very long. But once we've covered those creatures and understand who they are, the parts that they're going to play, when they're going to come, now it makes the chapters flow easier, right? Okay, so that's the ending of chapter 8. And what we're going to do now, I'm going to read to you the blessing for Yashua. And this is taken from the book of Deuteronomy, the Barayam, chapter 6, verse 24 and 26. Yebarakak Yahweh wa Yashamarak. May Yahweh bless you and protect you. Yasha'a Yahweh panayo alayak wa yachanak. May Yahweh cause his face to shine upon you and have favor upon you. Yasha'a Yahweh panayo alayak wa yashamlak shalom. And may Yahweh lift up his face upon you and give you peace. And I say shalom, shalom, all praises to the Most High. Abba Yah.